My name is Nicole, and I am a 34-year-old hairdresser. I work as a chief stylist at the hair salon managed by my husband, Michael, who is 3 years older than me. We met through a mutual acquaintance, and I was drawn to his kind and friendly personality, which led us to get married 4 years ago. On the other hand, my husband's mother, Victoria, divorced when Michael was still in junior high school, and has since raised him single-handedly, which is a point of pride for her. While I believe this is an admirable quality, she still thinks that she has complete decision-making power over her son's every move. As a result, when we got married, she forced her opinions on everything, from the wedding ceremony, honeymoon, new house selection, to the interior design. To be honest, I had my own visions for things like the wedding ceremony, honeymoon, and of course, our new home. However, whenever I expressed my opinions, she would reject them outright. And when Michael tried to intervene, she would say, "Well, do you intend to defy me, who will become your mother-in-law? You know the saying about casting pearls before swine, right? You don't need such a wedding dress, seriously. I can imagine what the future holds if you're like this now. I wonder what kind of upbringing your parents gave you." Not only did she refuse to listen, but she also insulted my parents in the process. Honestly, I felt worried about the future, and my parents suggested, "Why not take a step back and think it over?" I'm truly sorry for my mother's interference. I think it was very rude of her. But I want to build a family with Nicole and be happy together. I will work hard for this, so please, will you watch over our marriage as it is? Said Michael, who apologized sincerely. Seeing this, both my parents and I thought, I am sure that this man will stand by me in the future, even if my mother-in-law and I have conflicts. So we decided to get married. In the end, the wedding ceremony and our new home were entirely based on my mother-in-law's wishes. My mother at home advised me, "Take a loss now to gain later. I know you must be dissatisfied, but if you give face to your mother-in-law here, in a way, it'll create a debt she owes you." With her advice, I agreed to go along with it. However, now I regret my decision from 4 years ago more deeply than the ocean and higher than the mountains. Michael, I'd like to talk about work for a moment. I'm busy tonight with the junior chamber meeting. Yesterday was a shopping district gathering, and today is a junior chamber meeting? Last week, you had drinking parties and dinners every day. When can we actually sit down and talk? Well, every gathering and party is a part of my business, right? You're not good enough to be a wife of an entrepreneur. Complaining about it. I'm not complaining. But now we have 3 stores, and it's only natural that I'd want to discuss various things about management, right? Well, you know, I leave everything about the stores to you, Nicole. Your only redeeming quality, with no education or notable family background, is your skill as a hairdresser. So it's natural for you to work on increasing sales for the stores, right? So why are you trying to rely on me? Isn't that strange? Here we go again. 4 years after starting our hair salon business from scratch, we have successfully opened our 3rd store and are considering opening a 4th by the end of the fiscal year. It's a significant accomplishment, but as the business grows and Michael is praised as a young entrepreneur, he increasingly looks down on me. I can deal with him talking about my education and such, but he constantly belittles me, criticizing my looks, fashion sense, and even comparing me to rival stylists. Moreover, when I have to postpone a task requested by Michael, or don't reply to his line messages immediately, he starts to ignore me. When he begins to ignore me, he comes home late, leaves the dinner and breakfast I prepared untouched, and ostentatiously orders takeout or buys sandwiches and coffee from the convenience store. He spends more time at his mother's place, who lives on a different floor of the same apartment building, even taking baths there. At first, I was at a loss for how to improve his mood when he started his silent treatment. Even though I knew he wouldn't eat, I was afraid that not preparing meals would make him even angrier. So I continued to cook and prepare the bath, knowing it would be wasted. I often stayed up all night waiting for Michael, who didn't reply to my line messages and whose return time was uncertain. In the meantime, my mother-in-law would launch her attacks. I knew you were a terrible wife, but I didn't think you'd be this bad. Why is Michael ignoring me? What's the reason? You really don't have any idea. I can't believe it. Are you angry because I did something wrong? If you heard it from Michael, please tell me. There's no point in me telling someone who doesn't know their own shortcomings, right? She laughs and doesn't give me an answer. After a while in that state, just when I start to lose my patience, I'm home. Oh, I'm hungry. What's for dinner today? He comes back nonchalantly as if nothing happened back then. Oh, I'm so glad she talked to me. I would feel relieved. But eventually, I don't want to be ignored again. I unconsciously started living a life where I tried to please Michael and gauge his mood. I realized that when Rebecca, a new stylist who joined the company this spring, pointed it out to me one day. That day, I was being ignored by Michael as usual, not eating dinner or breakfast and not talking. Not wanting to waste it, I had packed the side dishes I had made for Michael into a lunchbox and brought it to the store. As I ate it for lunch, Rebecca spoke to me. Nicole, is that lunchbox homemade by you? Yeah, I just packed some leftovers from yesterday, though. I know it's a marital issue, and a newcomer like me probably shouldn't interfere, but have you realized that President Michael is trying to control you? What? Control? What do you mean? I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but isn't President Michael thoroughly ignoring you right now? Yeah, he is. I thought so. I saw him talking and smiling with everyone else, but ignoring you in the staff room. He thinks nobody's watching, but he brushes off your hand rudely. And then there's that lunchbox. Grilled mackerel and meat and potatoes. It's obvious that you just packed last night's dinner side dishes, right? It's worlds apart from your usual well-balanced, colorful lunchboxes. After Rebecca said that, actually my mother went through the same thing before she divorced my biological father. She told me her story. Rebecca's parents divorced when she was in her first year of high school, and her biological father often ignored her mother, just like Michael. It all started with such small, trivial things, but it was like a switch had been flipped, and then he ignored her completely. My mother cried a lot. I see. Eventually, she started to look for my father's approval in everything, and her smile became submissive. It's really painful to watch. Rebecca then told me that the reason Michael was ignoring me was because he was trying to control me through silence, making me worry, and ensuring he was always in a dominant position, smirking all the while. I mean, think about it. Normally, if your partner is worried or hurt, you'd be concerned, and it would be painful for you too. But people like the president actually enjoy seeing their partner worried and insecure. They're twisted. Since Rebecca said that so bluntly, I started to lose the will to panic like I used to. Even when Michael became moody and ignored me, or when my mother-in-law egged me on. Instead, once I started observing with that perspective, I began to notice only Michael's childishness, his terrible selfishness, and the maliciousness of my mother-in-law, who wouldn't even try to restrain him. However, it seemed they didn't like my attitude, and the oppressive silence directed at me by both Michael and my mother-in-law gradually became an everyday occurrence. He hardly came home unless he felt like it, and when he did, he would just lock himself in his room. He stopped showing his face at both the store and the company, and I essentially had to manage both by myself. Then one day, when such days had continued, that day was a day off for the store, and I was doing a thorough cleaning of our house for the first time in a while. I usually rely on the Roomba and Brava, but it's nice weather, so I guess I'll clean every corner for a change. Thinking that, I started wiping the windows while playing my favorite music on my smartphone when Michael and my mother-in-law entered the house silently, unlocking the door with a click. As they plopped down on the living room sofa, since my husband and mother-in-law are sitting here, I decided to make some tea quickly. Such an inconsiderate wife, haha. Really? But can we say goodbye to this kind of wife soon? Whew. It's going to be refreshing. That's what they said, as I reluctantly made tea and placed it on the sofa table, feeling puzzled. You see, Michael has a child now, so you should step aside and leave quickly. We'll give you about 2 weeks' grace, so leave this apartment during that time. Of course, we'll have you quit your job as well. No severance pay, though. Ha 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 ha. That's what they said. Michael has a child. Does that mean he's been cheating? And I have to leave here? I'm losing my job? No severance pay either? Although we were a couple in a Cold War, my mind was spinning with questions as I tried to process the sudden news, unable to catch up. The next wife is very different from you, haha. Her family is rich, and she graduated from a top women's college. And after that, she trained in the beauty capital, Paris. There's no way you can compete with her, so just give up already, haha. She's 3 months pregnant, and I want to make her feel secure as my wife quickly. That's right, I'm looking forward to it. There's no doubt a wonderful child will be born. They said whatever they wanted. So if she's 3 months pregnant, then that means the child is a result of an affair, right? Yeah, so what's your point? Emily and I just met in the wrong order. We were truly connected by the red thread of fate. So you want me to leave? Because now you want to marry your fated partner? That's what we've been saying. You're really slow to catch on. As I watched Michael and my mother-in-law's cheerful attitude, I could feel a headache coming on. At that point, I told them that I needed some time to think and asked them to leave. It's a fact that it takes time to truly understand things with a scattered mind such as yours. I get it, they said, then withdrew to my mother-in-law's room. After that, I couldn't bring myself to continue cleaning and just sat down on the floor. However, I noticed that the only incoming call screen on my smartphone was shining brightly in the dimly lit room. It was from Rebecca. Rebecca? Oh, Nicole, where are you now? At home? When I briefly answered yes, Rebecca said she was coming over right away and hung up the phone. About 30 minutes later, Rebecca appeared with both hands full of bulging eco bags. Sorry for the intrusion. I bought some random food and drinks for us. Saying that cheerfully, she borrowed the washroom to wash her hands, then quickly began to arrange the deli food she had bought on the table. She brought glasses from the kitchen and poured craft beer, her recent favorite, and said, "Let's eat before it gets cold." And she put a spoon in my hand. I tried eating as told, and the taste of fluffy, soft omelet rice filled my mouth. Delicious. Right? This place has amazing omelet rice, she said with a bright smile. I brought a variety of things, so please savor and enjoy them. I was reminded that I had only eaten coffee and bread for breakfast and hadn't had a proper meal. Although I had been completely emotionless until then, I was hungry after all. I realized for the first time. We ate in silence for a while, and when we started drinking beer, Rebecca said, "I received a group email from the boss saying that you're leaving the store at the end of this month." I told her that my mother-in-law and Michael had demanded a divorce and that I quit the store. Rebecca was silent for a moment at my answer, but soon asked, looking straight into my eyes, "What do you want to do, Nicole?" Do you mean what I want to do, not what they say I have to do? It's your life, Nicole. You decide which way to steer. You should steer toward what you want. What I want. When Rebecca said that, my heart felt surprisingly clear. Let's get a divorce. There's not a single reason why I should stay with Michael and his family. I want a divorce. I want to start my life over right away. I answered clearly. I was given a 10-day grace period by Michael, but once I started taking action, everything went smoothly. I didn't have many personal belongings, so I quickly packed them up in separate boxes provided by the moving company. I asked Rebecca to handle my belongings at the store because I didn't want to see Michael until everything was settled. At the same time, I asked a lawyer, introduced by an acquaintance, to prepare a document demanding alimony and division of property from Michael. I signed a contract for a property I liked after several viewings. As soon as the move was completed, I had a lawyer send documents to my mother-in-law. Almost at the same time the letter arrived, I received a barrage of line messages and emails from my mother-in-law and Michael, so I decided to propose a meeting at the lawyer's office. While waiting at the lawyer's office for the scheduled time, a grinning mother-in-law, Michael, and young woman appeared. When the lawyer asked the woman, "Who might you be?" before she could answer, my mother-in-law said, "This is Emily, who will become Michael's wife after your divorce." As soon as I submit the divorce papers with you, I plan to immediately submit the marriage registration with Emily. They seemed very pleased. Since it didn't matter to me, I just asked if they would agree to our demands, and they said, "Yeah, think of it as a severance payment. We'll pay you whatever you want." I didn't think it was necessary, but Michael is a kind person. For you, who will live a lonely life from now on, money is all you can rely on. They handed over the full amount I had specified in cash with a bank's envelope seal. I then filled in and stamped my section of the divorce papers and handed them over, ending the process. Finally, I said, "I don't think we'll meet again, but just in case, I will never help you in any way, no matter what happens." "Ahaha, so this is your last desperate remark. Okay, I understand you're upset, but you don't have to be so sarcastic." The woman named Emily and the three of them left the office laughing. I am now working as top stylist at a hair salon in the city center. Rebecca, who has been assisting me since last month, is the same Rebecca who helped me see the truth. After deciding to divorce at the lawyer's office, I immediately started looking for a new job. My past contest awards and being featured on a beauty website as a popular stylist helped me quickly land a new job. I am able to live without touching the consolation money or property division. I also started dating a man I met at a joint training session with the sister store of the salon where I currently work. I feel surprisingly free and relaxed every day. Nice! Where are you going on your next date? Hey, don't tease your seniors. Rebecca continued to work at Michael's salon for a while after I left. In fact, I was the one who convinced Rebecca to quit immediately. There were two reasons. The possibility that Rebecca, who had just started working, would be seen as lacking cooperation or patience if she quit, and concern that Rebecca might still be targeted by Michael and his mother if they knew she was still my friend. Rebecca reluctantly stayed at the salon, and according to her, the aftermath of Michael, his mother, and Emily was like a roller coaster drama. Emily appeared at the salon after my divorce, full of confidence, as the new top stylist and field manager, but her pride lasted only one day. The male staff member, who had been the sub-stylist under me, turned out to be Emily's class. Not knowing this, Emily made a grand entrance at the salon as a Paris-trained hairstylist, accompanied by Michael.
"Wow, I thought you must be some amazing person since you said you were back from Paris, but it's just you, Emily."
Thomas, why are you here?"
"I should be asking you the same thing. I'm really surprised. You were always getting scolded by the teacher. because you couldn't do any of the written test subjects at all. How did Emily, who kept repeating a year and eventually faded away, end up in Paris?
That's not true at all, is it? Don't make things up, right, Emily?
Well, you'd need a French hairdresser's license to work in Paris, right? When did you become fluent in French, like a native speaker? Of course, I studied at university, didn't I? University? Wow. The Emily who used to say she didn't understand English during the elective French conversation classes at beauty school.
And with that, Emily's disguise was completely stripped away. Afterward, a loud argument broke out between Emily, Michael, and Emily's mother-in-law, who rushed into the scene. The situation got out of hand, and the police were called. As a result, staff members began to leave one by one, and the salon lost its energy. Customers started to drift away, and the business quickly hit a dead end. They had no choice but to close 2 of their stores and try to restart at the original store. But it was already too late, and they had to close down completely last month. That must have been really tough. It really was. But because of that, I was treated as having left the company due to company circumstances. So the questions about my previous job during the interview here went smoothly. I'm happy to be working together again, but why did you choose this salon? Of course, it's to learn from Nicole's skills up close. I got it. I'll train you properly. Sometime after Rebecca changed jobs, a letter arrived from Michael and his mother through the lawyer, who was hired for the divorce. They probably had no other way to contact me, since I had cut off all communication and my parents had firmly refused contact as well. The letter went on and on about how they had been deceived by Emily, and that she wasn't pregnant and her background was all lies. She had taken everything from Thomas, all the valuable items, and disappeared shortly after. They had lost the salon and the apartment that they had used as collateral. Nicole is the only hope for me and my mother. I believe that you, being so kind, will extend a helping hand to us in our time of need. We want to hear from you as soon as possible. After skimming the letter, I called the lawyer who had passed it on to me. Please, just tell them I don't care. You don't have to pass on any more messages from them. And so, just as Rebecca had told me before, my life, with me, steering in the direction I wanted, is going great now, and I will never allow another man to control my destiny.